Hosea chapter 1, verse 2 says, "When the Lord began to speak through Hosea, the Lord said to him, 'Go take to yourself an adulterous wife and children of unfaithfulness.'" Couldn't be more clear than that. So we have this man, Hosea, who clearly is trying to pursue God and follow his will because he hears from God. He has a book in the Bible named after him, so obviously he was a man of God. And he's trying to do what God wants. And that's how he gets rewarded. Go marry a prostitute. And it's more than just go marry a prostitute. What God was saying to him was, go risk your reputation. Because there's this upstanding man in the community, Hosea, who is told, go into a brothel and find a prostitute and marry her. The city's going to talk. The town's going to talk about him. Oh, did you see him? He was in a brothel, but wonder what he was doing the other day. Like, go risk your reputation. Put it on the line for this woman. And on top of that, God's telling him, risk your heart. Because I've read this book maybe 100 times. Little exaggeration there, not much there. And on probably my 30th reading of it, it hit me. She's a prostitute, which means she doesn't understand love. It's been screwed up so hard for her. Like, it just isn't real. And so, just knowing that he was told to go marry this woman, you can guess 3 things about her. Because love's screwed up in her head. She doesn't know how to love herself. And that's a concept that's easy to see in other people, but not so easy to see in ourselves. If you look into my past, my dating past, you'll see a pattern from bad to worse. We have my first ex who was just manipulative and was really good at it. He got me to think that I had those ideas. That I wanted to go to a school in Maine instead of pursuing a Christian degree in New York. And that was the least of the manipulation he put me through. And then we have the second one, who was more of a flame than an ex. But he was kind of neglectful, for lack of a better word. He was there when he needed me, when he wanted me, but when I needed something back, he was gone. He was nowhere to be found. When he found a prettier girl closer to him, he was gone. I went through that a couple times with the same guy. I guess because I'm stubborn. The third guy is also a fling, and this one was worse than the one before because this one was a physical fling. This was my senior year of high school, getting ready to come to Nyack College, and there was a boy who I know is trouble. I knew he was a terrible person, and I still took every chance I could to go make out with him in the school hallway. Go stop by his house at the end of youth group. I took every chance I could, and he pushed as many boundaries of mine as he possibly could in the few short months that we were together. And then the fourth one, and the most recent ex, was all of that and worse. Because on top of being manipulative and self-centered and physical, he was abusive. Verbally, emotionally, physically abusive. His favorite game to play was to see how many times it took to pinch me before I bruise. And that was just fun for him. And I went through that, and I stuck it out with each of those guys for as long as I did because I didn't know how to love myself. And to be honest, that's still a struggle that I have. I'm still learning. It's not an easy thing, and it's a lifelong struggle. Once you devalue yourself, once your worth has been devalued, and you don't love yourself, you're going to struggle with that forever. And that's where Gomer, the wife, was at. She did not know how to love herself because she'd been so devalued. And when you don't know how to love yourself, you don't know how to receive love. Which again, I can see in my life. Very recently too. Wasn't that long ago I went out to coffee with a friend. And, just with the plans to drink coffee and talk. And when we get to the counter, he pays for me. It was like, what, $2, $3 cup of coffee? And I couldn't understand that. Why are you paying for me? And he handed me the cup and it was because you're worth it. And I was like, okay, next time it's on me. He was like, no, it's not. You're worth it. Just accept it. And so if you don't know how to love yourself, and you don't know how to receive love, you definitely don't know how to give love. And so we have this woman that Hosea was told to marry who doesn't know how to love herself, how to receive love. She definitely doesn't know how to love others. And so God told Hosea, put your heart on the line for this woman who can't possibly love you back. And love her. Marry her. And have children with her. What happens when you go from this super unhealthy life and you're brought into something better? You would think rejoicing. But more often than not, you get scared. You run off. If anybody knows anything about me, I'm really, really stubborn.
I'll never notice that.
And I'm pretty sure that's one of the first things that people pick up on me. So I understand. I understand this. She ran away because she got scared, because she was stubborn, and because prostitution was the only thing she knew. This unhealthy life was the only thing she knew. And when she was getting love from Hosea, she was like, I can't give this back. I don't understand it. I'm done. I can't do this. And she ran away. And God said that's not enough. And so in chapter 3, it says, the Lord said to me being Hosea, go show love to your wife again, even though she is loved by another and is an adulteress. Go back and pay whatever price is necessary to get your wife back. And love her. Don't just buy her back and live with her. Love her. Show love to her. Find her, seek her, pursue her, pay the price, and love her again. Why? Why would God say this? It doesn't make sense and it doesn't seem fair. But he explains himself, the part of the verses that I left off. Because see, back in chapter 1, when he says, take for yourself an adulterous wife, he finishes it with, because the land is guilty of the vilest adultery in departing from the Lord. That's what it was. In departing from the Lord. It wasn't, oh, they're sleeping around, oh, they're worshiping all these other idols. It's, they've departed from me. And that is the vilest adultery. That is the worst form of adultery that you can commit, is just departing from God, putting something else before him. And so he was using Hosea as an object lesson for the Israelites. And I think Hosea and the Israelites are supposed to be an object lesson for us too, because we are those prostitutes to this world. How? Maybe it's, I have a lot of homework. I'm super busy and God will understand if I don't spend time with him till the semester's over. He'll get it. He'll forgive me. Or you're faced with this really difficult decision and you seek the counsel of everyone before seeking God. Or maybe you have this really good book or this really fun game that you started and you don't want to put it down for a second to spend time with God. That's not just putting God aside. That is the vilest adultery. God's word's not mine. I have this friend from back home, very dear friend, very close to my family. The church that she grew up in, her parents were major leaders in that church. She is a great girl, loves the Lord, seeks to follow him, and was in a really serious relationship. This happened about a year ago. was in a very serious relationship and planning to save herself from marriage. She wasn't going to have sex till she was married. But one evening, her and her boyfriend were alone, and they did. And she called me a couple months later after she struggled with it herself. And she told me I didn't regret anything until a week later when my period was supposed to come and it didn't. She said it came a week after that or so. But in that span that it was late, that she was afraid that she could be pregnant, she said, I have never prayed as much as I did during that week. How many of us can say that? I've never prayed as much in my entire life as I did when. Fill in the blank. That is prostitution to the land, to the world. Putting something above God and only going after Him when a crisis comes in. So where's the hope? Because I know if I was God, I'd be so mad. Like thousands of years ago, His people, the Israelites, those people who He chose and led and brought back to Him, who turned away from Him, and He sought out again and just kept doing that, we're continuing to do that. They just didn't get it. And now, thousands of years later, the men and women studying and preparing to teach others about Him are doing the same thing. So where's our hope? We neglect Him. We are His people. We are His land. We are His nation. And we neglect Him. But here it is. And this is the exciting part. Because see, in the two verses that I read, you can glean more. Because in chapter 3 again, it says, love her as the Lord loves the Israelites, though they turn to other gods. And you can get something about God's love from this. It is huge. It is so much bigger than human love in every way, shape, or form, and it doesn't make sense. God's often the last priority in our lives. Just think, how often is He the last priority in your life? Often. I know that can often be the case for me. And we're supposed to be in this relationship with Him, but we put Him last. How many of you would stay in a relationship, would stay dating or married to someone who had you as their absolute last priority? My most recent ex, on top of just being a complete jerk, one time was talking to me, and out of nowhere, looks me in the eye and goes, Naomi, if I had to choose between you and a nice car, I'd pick the car. And then he took it a step further and said the same thing about guns. He told me he'd pick a lump of metal over me. I'm not in that relationship because I couldn't do it. There's no way I'm going to be the last priority in someone's life. But how often do we tell that to God? God, I'm going to take this movie over you. God, I'm going to pick this car over you. I'm going to spend my time and money trying to get this car instead of giving it to you, using it for you. I'm going to take whatever it is instead of you. And He is a far better lover than any earthly one you'll ever experience, but we still are just like, no, I'll come to you when I need you, but in the meantime, I'm going to pick these things. I'm going to pick my phone. I'm going to pick my computer, my internet access, over you. The second thing that you can glean about God's love, aside from it being so much bigger than human love, because if He is sticking it out with us, even though we're like, no, I'll come to you later. The other thing you can glean is that he's persistent. He pursues you. Ladies, he pursues you in a way that I believe every single one of us wants a man to pursue us. But it isn't exclusive to the ladies, because men, God is pursuing you in that exact same persistence. That never-ending, deep, persistent love. He's pursuing you. I believe our view of God is often tainted by our views of ourselves and our view of others. And one view that I've struggled to not have anymore is that people leave. If you can expect anything from people, it's that they're going to leave you. They're going to give up on you. They're going to just move on. They're going to get mad at you, get in fights, or life will just take you in different directions. People leave. Always. So if I don't want to get hurt, I have to go first. I have to isolate myself. And I have to get out of there. And being as stubborn as I am, I'm pretty good at it. And so naturally, I don't just do that to people. I do it with God. Because if people leave, and if I leave, why doesn't God? When's he going to give up on me? When's he just going to leave? Everybody else does. Last year, I took a class called Personal Spiritual Formation. And everybody in this room either has taken it or will take it. Because it's required. And it is an amazing class. But on this retreat, because there's a retreat at the end of the year, and on that retreat, I had to face head first my fear of abandonment and my running away. And I had to come face to face with God's persistence. Because I was put for almost an entire day alone, looking into the woods. I couldn't see a single person. I was alone. My leader didn't come to me until maybe an hour before she was supposed to come and collect me. So the entire day I was utterly alone. I couldn't see a single person. And in that time, I used that as my, see God, I'm right. I'm alone. I'm abandoned. I don't hear you. I don't see people. I'm alone. I'm right here. And as I'm sitting there with that mindset, I hear voices all around me. I hear people. And that's when God was like, actually, no. Because see, I've come, even though you try to isolate yourself, I have come and sought you out and put you into a community that you can't get away from. I have been persistently pursuing you from the day you started running. I've been chasing after you, and I've been putting you into this community because I know you won't believe it until you see people around you who aren't going to believe you. And I believe he's saying that to you guys too. Maybe not in that same way, but he is pursuing you. From the day you started running, before you started running, he is pursuing you. And how often do we see that persistence, that pursuit, all throughout the Bible, all throughout our lives, and the lives of anybody who shares a testimony? It usually goes, I was doing so well, and then I decided, screw you, God. And then he took me back. And then I decided, screw you, God. And then he brought me back. And that's how my life went. But he's persistent. But the story goes one step further. Because in Hosea 3, verse 3, after he bought his wife back, it says, "Then I told her, 'You are to live with me many days. You must not be a prostitute or be intimate with any man, and I will live with you. So there's a part of it that's on us. Yeah, God's never going to stop chasing you. He's never going to stop pursuing you. But it's exhausting to run. And he's not doing it for his benefit. He's doing it for yours. Hosea bought Gomer out of prostitution, not for Hosea's benefit. He could have found another woman who could have actually loved him. He bought her out of that prostitution for her benefit, because it's not good. The place that she was at was not healthy, and he knew it, and so he took her out of that. And so really, what's being said here is, yeah, you better, love me for the rest of your life, but not for my sake. Love me for your sake. Stay with me for your sake. I know what's best for you, and you just don't get it right now, because you're still in the thick of it. You're still in this unhealthy mindset. But I know what's best for you. So don't keep running. Don't love another man. Yes, I'll come get you again, but don't do it. It just hurts. Hosea is a beautiful love story. And I encourage each and every one of you to actually read the entire book, because I took, 3 verses out of an entire book of the Bible. It's a beautiful love story from God to you.